Yes, I'm here to get into one of my all-time favorite films. It's Come and See, which is directed by Elem, Klimov, released in the year 1985. Saw this first when I was like 20, and I remember this just being about the most disturbing film I'd ever seen. Influencing in a way that just hits this perfect balance of, I would say, Darren Aronofsky and Andrei Tarkovsky. It's like right in the balance of that. This is just really disturbing. And I remember I was also getting into the film's Blowout in the Grand Budapest Hotel at this time as well. And this just almost like the most dominatingly like disturbing kind of film. I think those films almost seem like so freaking whimsical by contrast. And I certainly needed time and to evolve with an equal influence on those. But this is just amongst just about the most probably the most disturbing kind of war depiction I've ever seen. Really, it's just this slow burner um, just characters just facing unfathomable horrors, and it's just like frighteningly close up from start to finish, and all of the characters' reactions to just ultimate hell on earth unfolding quite literally. All of this just feels like it's puzzling the way it's paced out. It's really disturbing. It's extraordinarily disturbing. I feel like from start to finish, there's a feeling that something's off, and it just keeps getting more and more insane as it goes. Basically, as um, yeah, there's just something just very tragic about all of this. It kind of puts like pursuing maybe just something larger than life, in a lot of ways, and then you just kind of find that you pursue great things, and then there's this face of horrifying elements that just sort of like just corrupts a person, and you just see all of this unfold from start to finish. It's really a dark depiction from start to finish, perhaps the most gruesome ever made, and that's the most disturbing I've ever seen. All of this just has a way about it that just looking back on it, it really is just a lot of horrifying sort of moments going on here. All these moments you really feel like you're just trying to close up on the horrors of wars without any explanation. Like a lot of this is just awful things happening with no explanation. It just happens, and it's just sort of the atmosphere and environment, which anything goes, based practically. Um, and this is just conveyed from a wonderful perspective of insanity from start to finish. It explores just traumatizing characters who face all sorts of elements of depersonalization, and yeah, horror feels horrifying in this project. It's an ultimate journey through just disturbing moments that it's so difficult to even want to watch it's so loudly in the subconscious that it's tough to even have the will to go back to this one. But like the way this film paces out, it's absolutely perfect at conveying practically every single sense of the word in detail about just something completely just breaking off the rails practically. And cinematography, it's just flawless. I mean, all this is shot with just such a sense of gritty realism, extraordinarily bleak energy, which portrays just perhaps the most psychologically tormented war film I've ever seen. Perhaps this feels uniquely tormented. And the director, this is like his only big time. The only film of his I've seen. He has one others, but this is like I think his big one he was out to make his whole life, and just exploring just Howard Pulse more like made his attitude towards violence, and he just kind of has this completely realistic, harrowing sort of way of getting straight to the point, of just kind of everything corruptive going on here. It's just about the most horrifying film I've ever seen. So disturbing, and unbearably repulsive to witness these horrible moments go down. Yet it's just there's a timeless and disturbing energy of just practically a horror film. It might as well be a horror, and it feels like it's just out to completely stab you from start to finish, and every sense of the word. It's one of the most brutal, harrowing kind of thing I've ever seen. Is it just conveys a surreal kind of depiction on just intense moments and depths of realism. You see this war of just all kinds of just atrocious actions happening. All that like violence is so bad here. And the central performances, literally just watching an innocent person just find visions of unimaginable cruelty so raw and intense that it gets so overwhelming. It's on an unbearable extent. Klimov just has all these brutal close-ups and unflinching commitment to this perspective, and the way that sound is conveyed here, it's just out to convey these experiences from such an extraordinarily raw kind of way. Um, just I think it's uniquely raw about how it just explores just some of the most horrifying action, some of those horrifying moments I've ever seen, and it really does like it's kind of on its own language that completely separates itself from practically any other war film. It has like a lot of some elements, but it's on its own wavelength of just disturbing from start to finish. Perhaps the most groundbreaking war from the '80s alone. So like from Metal Jacket, um, and it's kind of also like kind of defeats like Francois Truffaut had this kind of saying that it's impossible to make an anti-war film. It seems like Klimov put all of his heart and mind to kind of prove that theory like um, wrong, because everything about the violence is just so viscerally just horrifying that you just feel it in the most humiliating kind of extent possible. Um, all these scenes just they live on timelessly in the imagination. It's this surreal nightmare, gradually just getting worse and worse as it goes. and just completely depressing sort of story of growing up in a lot of ways. And it's yeah, these performances are just mesmerizing. I'm just like between Oleski, Crescacillo, Oga Muranova, like it's insane what it brings out of these performances and characters. This is just an exhausting depiction of destruction, you could say, ultimately. And yeah, it's some of the best sound design I've ever seen. All this just really holds up, and there's just a lot of honesty in definition of just like a terrifying moments that's being conveyed all throughout, and chaos and destruction. It's just kind of condensed in its own kind of language. Again, I think Tarkovsky influence is just how realistic it all is, and then you could say that the Aronofsky influence is kind of more where it's dramatic. And all these facial expressions are just really disturbing. And again, these are some of the most devastating moments I've ever seen, and one of the most difficultly disturbing moments, I say, of all time. Really, it just completely gets in your subconscious in a very unsettling sort of note, and it makes you feel like you're just plunged right into this war zone and facing hell on earth in every sense of the word. There's a whole sense of humanity and any sort of happiness is stripped away in all this, and that's really what makes it such a gut-wrenching, just mesmerizing sort of depiction, which just conveys, I think, about the most harshly depressing atmosphere. And there's like a strange sort of way of just how, again, all this, there's just nothing glorifying whatsoever. It's just one of the most endlessly nightmarish things ever made, into an extremely brutal extent. And it's just a raw examination of horror. One of the most intimidating films ever to really revisit, honestly. This just really hits a whole new level of its own entirely. There's just no room for empathizing with close-up kind of like emotions. Like, I mean, you just want to see a close-up on destruction of the emotions practically. And these close-up shots just make this one of the most endlessly powerful, masterful, just perfect films ever made, really. I mean, this is really a terrifying, sort of disturbing just moment of filmmaking, really, in every sense of the word. It scars like directly in the heart, and every time just thinking about watching it, like I get like this very intimidating feeling in my gut. It's so much what it's doing.